This episode was my Patreon sponsored review for the month of August thanks to my executive producers over on Patreon. Special shoutouts to Jade the Blue RDM and Soundwave for their very generous donations. And also a big hello to Chad Frene, my new $1 brony backer pledger. And if you want to help these people and make shows like Bartending in the Rift Kitchen and of course Watchful Watchings even better and want to help me make this a full-time job someday, then check the description down below and go to my Patreon or wait until the end of the video for a link to the Patreon as well. Thank you so much for listening to this PSA and now on with the review. Rah, oh, it's a dragon! Looks like it's time to fight. Don't worry, I'm here. Oh, greetings boys and peckers, this is the Watcher Pony here. Yeah, Ichi made these little tiny figurines for our Equestrians characters. They were so cute I decided to play with them a little bit. Plus I'm feeling a little childish inside because, well, I just saw Christopher Robin recently and, well, it kinda makes me feel like a child all over again. And I mean that in the best way possible. Honestly, it might be one of my favorite movies of the year so far. You know what? It's honestly good enough, it deserves its own review. And I'm gonna be reviewing it right after I'm done playing with these. Don't worry, I'm here. What are you, All Might? Yes, I am literally the All Might of this universe, and you know it. The only thing you are is Frigid, our paladin who somehow gets away with throwing everything. Yes, because throwing everything literally solves all your problems. When I was young, I had a huge VHS collection of all the classic Disney movies. Aladdin, Lion King, Little Mermaid, all that good stuff. But one of my favorites was The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. And I think a lot of that centers from the main character, Winnie the Pooh himself. He's just such a lovable character. Honest to God, I make the joke that it's impossible to hate this character. And I think it's true, because I don't know anyone who hates Winnie the Pooh. I know some people who hate Mickey Mouse's guts, but I don't know anyone who dislikes Winnie the Pooh. But Winnie the Pooh wasn't the only likable character, there's tons of other ones. Eeyore, Tigger, Kanga and Roo. All of them were fun and likable, and they're part of the reason why I kept coming back to this movie. And ever since then, Winnie the Pooh's kind of been one of my favorite mascots for Disney. And he's had his fair share of adventures ever since that movie, with lots of straight-to-video movies as well as a TV show. And then came the live-action remake craze. And yes, Winnie the Pooh was in fact getting that treatment. Now before everyone jumps down my throat or accuses me of anything, I want to set the record straight. I don't hate the live-action remakes. Far from it, I think they do have a place and some of them are pretty good. So I'm not someone who dismisses these movies outright. In fact, the Dumbo one actually looks pretty decent. I was a little iffy when we found out it was gonna be centered around Christopher Robin. Okay, now, no disrespect to Christopher Robin, but he's literally the least interesting character in Winnie the Pooh. He's just a normal, everyday kid with these animal friends he hangs out with. Nothing more, nothing less. That doesn't make him a bad character, but it doesn't really make him an interesting one either. Not helping was the fact that they casted Mark Forrester as the director of this movie, who to be fair has made some great drama pieces like Finding Neverland, but he's also made some very crappy action movies like Quantum of Solace and World War Z. But one thing that really did strike me as interesting was the fact that they casted Ewan McGregor as Christopher Robin. Yeah, he's way too old to play the kid version, so obviously this is gonna be a sequel, taking place in the future where Christopher Robin grows up. And that's exactly what we got when we saw the first trailer. But we got one other thing that actually made me incredibly hopeful for this movie.
What to do indeed. Pooh? Christopher Robin. I've cracked. Oh, I don't see any cracks. A few wrinkles, maybe.
That's right, that's the definitive Winnie the Pooh himself, Jim Cummings. And we almost didn't get him. I don't remember exactly who, but they were originally going to cast another celebrity to do Winnie the Pooh and Tigger. But apparently test screenings for them were so negative that they decided to bring Jim Cummings to play both Tigger and Winnie the Pooh. And I'm so glad they did because he is the heart and soul of Winnie the Pooh as far as I'm concerned, as well as Tigger. After finding that tidbit out, I was really looking forward to this movie. If nothing else, then to just support one of my favorite voice actors of all time. And after finally seeing it, I can safely say, in a lot of ways, it exceeded my expectations. And in other ways, it more just met them or just barely didn't meet them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What's the actual story? Well, you see, it's a couple years later and Christopher Robin has grown up and started his own family, and he's kind of forgotten about both his old family, that being Winnie the Pooh and the animals, and his current family as he's incredibly busy with work. But thanks to Winnie the Pooh and the other animals, he's able to finally learn what it means to be a child once again. Yeah, you can obviously see the similarities to Hook in this. And yeah, they do double dip in some aspects, but thankfully they keep it just different enough that it doesn't feel like a ripoff. And also thankfully, they don't fall into the trappings of the Hook formula that a lot of other family movies have fallen for. For one thing, they try to make the father out to be a douche who doesn't hang out with his damn wiener kids, when in actuality that's not the case at all. But here, they actually give two really good reasons why he doesn't spend time with his family more. For one thing, you actually see the work environment he's under. You see how much stress he truly is under. And for two, near the end of the movie, without giving too much away, you do see the consequences of what would have happened if he hadn't come through. Those two automatically make this a million times better than any other family movie that's tried to have the overworking dad trope. And while we're on the subject of the dad, Ewan McGregor gives a great performance in this movie, switching perfectly between the overworked adult who just wants to spend time with his family but his job's kind of forcing him to not, and the young childlike whimsy when he reconnects with his friends. And speaking of, let's talk about the friends themselves. Yep, all the standard crew is all here. Kangaroo, Rabbit, Eeyore, all that good stuff. And yeah, they are voiced by celebrities, which is kind of a downer, but honestly, they're pretty good. I honestly didn't even notice until I went to IMDb, and they all do a good job. Heck, one of the ones that surprised me the most was Peter Capaldi as Rabbit. I didn't even know that wasn't the original voice actor for Rabbit. But even more than Rabbit, the one that surprised me the most was Eeyore. Eeyore is a standout character in this movie. He is hilarious. I know, that sounds horribly ironic considering what kind of character Eeyore is, but it's true, I could not stop laughing when this character was introduced. Do I even need to say Jim Cummings is amazing in this movie? Because honestly, that should go without saying. He plays the Wyatt instance perfectly and plays these characters exactly as you would imagine. Oh, and to anyone worried, don't worry, he does sing the Tigger song and does say Winnie the Pooh's catchphrases. And yeah, if you're very nostalgic for the Winnie the Pooh movies, this will really hit you right there because there is a lot of fan service in this movie, but not so much that it's distracting. But I think by far, the thing I love most about this movie is that it perfectly captures what it means to be a child again and never losing sight of that. I mean, yeah, considering this does share a lot of similarities to Hook, that should go without saying, and without giving the ending away, it does show that being a child is not just worthless and pointless. It does show that sometimes thinking outside the box and thinking like an innocent child can lead to some of the best ideas ever, and that sometimes even from nothing, something can happen. As far as problems, well, as much as I do like this movie, I do have a couple. For one thing, the character designs. Well, okay, one character specifically, because honestly, most of the Winnie the Pooh characters do look decent, even though they do look very hyper-realistic and much like plushies. But I quickly got over that. I can't get over Owl's design though. I mean, he looks like a real owl. That's annoyingly inconsistent. I also would have liked to see Gopher since he was one of my favorite things from the original movie, but then again, he wasn't in the books, so I can kinda see why they cut him. Still a little disappointed in that. And admittedly, the tone can feel very lopsided at times. Sometimes it blends together perfectly. Sometimes the lighthearted comedy can blend perfectly with the emotional moments. Other times, it can feel very distracting. And that's pretty evident if you look at the first trailer compared to the second trailer. There are moments like that throughout this film, and yeah, they can be a little distracting. But not enough to ruin it, just for the record. Also, I hope you're not a fan of Rabbit, Kangaroo, or Owl, because by the time the third act rolls around, they're almost completely forgotten about. And yeah, that's a little disappointing, but I can kinda see why they did it, considering they already had enough characters they had to manage in the last act. Hell, they could barely keep Piglet relevant in the last act. But honestly, despite all that, I still highly recommend Christopher Robin. It's very funny, very nostalgic, and has some incredibly great lighthearted, warm and fuzzy moments. I'm going to give Christopher Robin a 7.5 out of 10. I'm the Watchful Pony, and this is why I brony. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you all so much for checking this video out. I would have never made it if it weren't for my Patreoners, and I'm so glad I did because I'm so glad I got to see this movie. And if you want to help join them and help decide what I'm going to review for any given month, as well as joining a Discord and seeing videos a day early, then the Patreon will be in the link down below or at the end credits. But if you just can't get enough Watchful, then I do live streams now. Every Saturday, which is going to be today by the time this video goes up, we'll be streaming Quest, which is basically where we play a game of D&D all together. And this week, our special guest question will be Songheart. But then by the time the night rolls around, I'll usually do a drunk stream where I'll get drunk and play a video game live on stream. Of course, I could just do a live stream at any given time when I'm off. So that being said, if you want to find out when I'm going to live stream, you can also follow me on Twitter, which will also be down below. Or you can also just check out @TheWatchfulPony on Twitter. And make sure you check out Quest streams or my live streams because I am offering rewards to anyone who donates to help me out and make this a full-time job someday. But anyways, enough of this and advert. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.